I am super excited for this next session. I think one of the key goals and one of the key benefits from this whole environment that we're in right now is the ability to network. So I do want to share before I introduce Tony to stay tuned for this session, because that's going to be what this session is all about today. Tony's going to open us up with some key kind of topic starters, if you will. And then we are going to go out into some facilitated breakout sessions. And I don't want that to scare anybody away. Don't leave. This is a good part. This is a part where you're going to get to interact with each other, meet each other, and take full advantage of this unbelievably impressive list of individuals that are on this session. So I have to put that in there. Don't leave just because you hear it's a breakout room. So I am, again, very, very honored and super excited to get to introduce Tony Francetic. So Tony, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I am equally happy to be here, and we'll run through just a couple different things for an agenda. I'll take my maybe an extra 5 minutes here than we originally allotted, but we'll get into a little bit of my history, the struggles, I suppose, that I've had in the last several years of promoting the influence of the pre-sales division at my point, and then we'll get into that group discussion, as Kelley mentioned. So my, I guess, tenure at Thomson Reuters, and I started almost 10 years ago in our support division. Then I was a trainer, and I've traveled around and implemented our tax and accounting software. Then I managed trainers. Then I took over our pre-sales team, but it was still in the training department. And then most recently transitioned to the sales division, where I've been for the last 4 years. Thanks really a lot to James, the pre-sales collective, and the pre-sales community at large. The last several years, I've really been able to focus on advocating for the influence that pre-sales brings to the organization. And I think many of us have probably heard the adage that pre-sales resources just do the demos, but there's so much more they do, and how they can add value throughout an organization beyond just the sales division. So if I think about, just what my path has been, and again, our strategy here to build this influence in the division, I've been lucky enough to have leaders in my organization listen to my vision and kind of move down a path of growth. And if I look at, what my growth has been here, I had a team of 8 that supported about 200 plus sales reps across a couple divisions. And in the last several years, we've been able to do several things to help to grow that team. One being implementing consensus. I was able to hire and actually grown the team to 23. Actually, just this week, got an additional headcount assigned to me. But along with that growth of staff, I've been able to see the growth and the recognition and influence of the team. And that's been with some of the tactics I'll kind of precursor before we get into the breakout sessions.
And Tony, I have to back you up there. Did you say there were 8 SCs supporting 200 reps? Is that what I heard?
That's right. Yeah. In our busy season, it was awesome. 2 to 3 weeks to schedule a demo in most cases. It was wonderful.
Sure there was never a dull moment with that. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to clarify that number.
No, for sure. No, and yeah, no frustration with the sales division at all. It was wonderful. But that growth, I say, in most cases, if you're going to be effective in pre-sales, somebody's got to be good at several things, right? You've got to understand the marketing strategy of the business, so there's consistency with that messaging in the demo environment. You've got to know a product roadmap to convey the future vision to set the stage for a customer. You've got to be able to clearly articulate the proposition statements of your solutions, bundling, packaging, the workflows that are involved. You got to have some sales acumen. You got to have presentation skills, right? There's a whole host of things that feed into making a good, well-rounded solutions consultant, pre-sales resource. But if that wasn't enough to kind of advocate for the influence that these people bring to an organization, engaging with the customers at the level that most pre-sales teams do produces a great deal of data, right? What those prospective customers like and don't like about their current products, about your products, trends in the market, insights into the competitors, and really that information should be leveraged throughout an organization. And I'll get into a little bit more on things that I recommend and some tools on your journey to build that influence in an organization. But I'll start with a quote. I think many of us have maybe found, if you're in the boat that I was, where almost subservient to the sales division, it may seem like that's a hill that's pretty hard to climb. It's difficult to see the end state. But if you can think about that future state and work back towards it, that's ideally where we want to be. And there's a lot of this that if I think about where you're at in the journey, there's going to be obstacles, and those are always going to affect people. But hold steady to that future vision, and build some passion around it. Right. So speaking of vision, it's one of the first things that I would focus on as an essential tool for success on your quest to build this influence for PreSales. But have a clear strategic vision is an imperative. Much of the discussions, the conversations with senior leadership are contingent on your ability to convey a future state where PreSales is an influencer for an organization, not just the sales division. And I think that's a narrow focus that tends to happen quite often, is they look at, well, what are we going to do to benefit sales? Well, if I can influence marketing campaigns that align with what the customers are telling us, well, that opens the funnel and can drive more revenue. If we look at product roadmaps and we influence maybe what's being asked for that isn't in our solution today, now the solution becomes more interesting and more palatable for purchase. That's going to drive some more revenue too. So it does extend beyond the sales division, but everything feeds back to that revenue. So I'll come back to that in just a little bit as far as the vision piece goes. But the second piece I want to touch on is data. There is a lot of areas to acquire data. It's probably as vast and varied as you can gather. You want to get it as best you can. There's to justify a lot of the stuff that's there. You definitely want to pull in as much. Data is the best way to put it across the board. There's a ton of resources that can help you though, because it is a challenge depending on your situation, your environment, your CRM, how you work with pulling in information or reports that you have available to you. There's tons of growth in pre-sale specific platforms. You got Vivint, there's Prelio, there's Hub.inc, there's MightySE. There's a ton of information, and I'll throw these links in the Slack channel too. But I had linked this over to a really good article on the importance of data from the PreSales Collective that Jeff Cordes had put together. But I think if I look at my own challenges with pulling data, half of my division uses a 20-year-old internal built CRM, and the other half uses some a version of Salesforce. And as you can imagine, if you're trying to pull together good data on the pre-sales impact and you've got multiple CRMs, it's hard to aggregate that information sometimes. So whatever way you can pull that in, that data is going to be key to reinforce the vision, right? If we're going to set a path and a vision for a future state, we can't say specifically what that future state data sets are going to look like, but we can take what we have today, implement, pilot, try, and then build a little bit further to then start to extrapolate that out towards your future state and hopefully be able to build from there. Last but not least is network. So the pre-sales network, and certainly again, I'll show PreSales Collective, Leadership Collective. It's really been instrumental in my ability to connect with other pre-sales leaders, along with the myriad of options out there, LinkedIn, tons of groups dedicated to pre-sales. But I'll say one of the things I've loved the most about really just diving into the pre-sales community head first in the last several years is how welcoming and helpful everybody is. And I think if I go back to like what the heart of a really good pre-sales resource is a desire to help, right? We're going to help the sales team meet some goals. We're going to help customers build or grow their business, and we're going to help each other. If we go back to the morning, David and Naz mentioned the power of community, and I'd echo what they had referenced in their session and ask everybody to empower each other and your businesses to be an advocate for the influence that pre-sales really has. And speaking of influence, if I steal an image from PreSales Collective here, it really is the state of pre-sales right now. We have this really cool opportunity to reshape how organizations view the pre-sales division. And again, not just within the lens of the sales division. I'd certainly save this document and look into the areas that your teams can directly influence out of the gate. When I started off on the journey that I had, I wanted to focus in on the areas, again, that I would have the highest impact to then build and grow upon. So I started with the areas I referenced earlier, our sales division, the marketing division, product development, and customer success. And as I've been able to kind of grow the trust in what we're capable of bringing to the table, just a couple examples. There were some marketing campaigns that they were putting together that we plugged in my team to be able to craft the message and focus in on specific features in the platform that are most relevant to the public. And it was part of a social media campaign. And that, again, drew on the knowledge that marketing division had in the product, but they didn't have the insights from the customers. So we just injected that, and now it's created a new relationship where they turn to my team to help out with a lot of the discussions in those marketing development campaigns. And the product teams, specific to our audit offerings, we got started we call it the State of the Union on a monthly basis. And we do that feedback loop of what are we hearing from customers? What does that roadmap look like? What's changed? What's transitions so we can stay on top of things? And that ends up being quite mutually beneficial because we get a head start on understanding what's in the roadmap of the platform. And then we're able to then provide that feedback back to influence and hopefully change it for the better. And then in customer success, sales training has been a big focus that we've had and helped to drive really how we're educating new sales reps as they come into the company. So all of those have shown really that pre-sales truly can be an influencer that adds a lot of value overall. So I would, again, once you kind of prove the value in those highest areas of impact in your organization, look at these myriad of options that are on this slide and look at how you can advocate and grow into those other areas. So it just continues to then build the team, build the structure, and so on. So as Kelley mentioned, I'm a huge advocate of not being the smartest, or you shouldn't be the smartest person in the room, and I'm certainly not at the moment. We've got a wealth of knowledge in this conference and certainly has taken part at this stage. I think it really should lend itself well to having some great discussions around how you have, or maybe currently are, building influence for those pre-sales teams as it relates to our roundtable sessions. So I'll kick it to Kelley for a little bit of process for the next 40, 50 minutes that we have.